This is a fun photo from Pixabay of some delectable macaron and raspberries, and they look so delicious. So I have drawn them out, and I'm going to, actually I think I will lighten the drawing before I mask, but the theory will be that I will mask much of the area that I don't want to have any color coming in. So it'll be the outlines and then some of this lighter pink area. I think I might actually just go ahead and mask the entire cookies because that's what part of what makes them so delicious is they're just so pretty. So this is a cotton ball with alcohol, and I'll just lighten the drawing. I think I'll do all the outlines first and then come back and figure out what exactly I want to mask. Okay, now that I've masked all the outlines, I'm going to just mask the whole pink cookie here. And I'll let that dry. For the background of our macarons, I'm going to use cloudy blue, slate, and some alcohol. And I'm just going to make a pale background over the whole thing. And I'll let it dry this way. For the background of our macaron painting, I wanted to try something a little bit different. I just wanted to add a texture to the very back part of it. So I'm going to use a stencil and just kind of splatter some ink through it. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually cover the area that's in the foreground. And it looks like it's about halfway through this berry. So I'm going to lay a piece of paper over it so we don't get anything on that. And then lay the stencil on top of it. I've selected some slate gray ink, and this brush probably had some brass on it. So I'm just going to lightly splatter through the stencil. And we'll see what it looks like underneath. We've got actually a small amount of splatter pattern, and we have the line from the stencil. So we'll decide that that's interesting. Since I have this line here, I think I will lay the stencil over it and splatter on this side of it and see if I can pick up a little bit more of that pattern on the other side of the line. A little bit. And I'll let this dry before proceeding. I'm regretting that these circles do not line up with this piece here, so I think I'm just going to kind of do a little more splattering just to obscure that. And now we can begin our process. So I'll start by taking off the masking fluid. And I'm going to begin by cleaning up the masking. I'm just going to try to remove or at least soften any splatters or blue lines that have appeared. At least this way they'll be less apparent under the pink. I'm going to start by putting in the base color of the macarons, the raspberries, and the mint leaves. Then we'll begin with pink sherbet, and I'm just going to brush it in. This clearly isn't the smoothest job. we'll have time to come around and fix that. For the raspberries, I've selected crimson, and this is pretty red. And this is botanical for the leaves. Now I'll take a few moments with the cotton swab and just try to create a little dimension here. And for the raspberries, this is kind of nice because we can just kind of make raspberry shapes. Even though these are in shadow, I'm still going to give them some texture. I'm going to use the cotton swab that has this red on it and just kind of sketch in some of the shadow parts. I'll also lift some of the highlights. And I'll do the same for the leaves. For the shadows in the berries and in the cookies, I'll be using eggplant. I also have some shadows underneath the berries and cookies. I think I'm going to make kind of an edge here. Picking up a little bit of that red. We don't want to do that particularly. And I'm going to soften these shadows. At this point, I'm going to take some more of the pink sherbet and work on the cookies. This is a cotton swab and some alcohol, and I'm going to work on smoothing a little bit in our cookies. This cookie is not very smooth, and while markers usually are not elements of smooth flow, I'll see if I can use it to try to smooth it out a little bit. This is the same cotton swab. It's got a little pink on it still. That's a little bit better. I'm going to pull out the area that the frosting is in. And turn to a kind of a red marker and take a look at these raspberries. And over here on the side. And I'll use this green marker for the leaves. And a little bit of lifting through the leaves. This is the cotton swab and alcohol. I'm just going to soften the shadow. I'm going to try kind of a gray marker for the shadow where the layers meet. We still have some textural issues in the cookies, and some of this background I'd like to have it look a little different. So I'm going to just do a little alcohol splattering and see where that leaves us. So that was a little bit more interesting than I had in mind, but there's still quite a lot of hope here, and it might solve some of our problems. So I'm going to put back in the raspberry. And use this cotton swab to kind of find the lines on the cookie again. The pink marker, I'm going to just add some ink back to this far side here. And I'll soften this. This is the sepia pen. I'm going to use it for just some of the very darkest spots, which is really the area right between the two cookies. And I'm going to lift on some of the raspberries. So one thing I'd like to do, even just quickly looking at it, is soften these lines where the sepia pen was. Even if they don't bother me in real life, those kind of lines are what cameras or scanners really pick up on. And, well, let's see. I think I'll let it sit.